Our family built on lease. The photograph trembled in Sarah's hands. 23 years of her life, and she'd never noticed how different she looked from everyone else in the family portraits lining the hallway. Dark eyes in a sea of blue. Olive skin where everyone else burned pink under the summer sun. "We were going to tell you," her mother whispered from the doorway. Sarah didn't turn around. She couldn't. The DNA test results she'd ordered on a whim, a birthday gift from her best friend, lay scattered at her feet like shrapnel from an explosion that had just torn through her entire existence. "When?" The word came out broken. "When were you going to tell me I was adopted?" "We are your parents, Sarah. We raised you. We love you." "You lied to me. Every single day of my life." That night, Sarah left. She packed a single bag and drove until the city lights faded into darkness, until she reached the small coastal town where, according to the DNA match, her biological mother lived. Espill. Maria Garcia was kneading bread dough when the knock came. She knew somehow before she even opened the door. Maybe it was a mother's intuition, finally awakening after 2 decades of forced sleep. The young woman on her porch had her eyes, her hands, the same stubborn set to her jaw. "I'm Sarah," the girl said, and Maria's world tilted. "I know who you are," Maria's voice cracked. "I've always known. I've been waiting for you." They sat in Maria's small kitchen, where the smell of fresh bread filled the spaces between words too heavy to speak. Maria told her story in fragments, each one a piece of a broken mirror Sarah was trying to reassemble. 17 years old, alone, terrified. A baby she couldn't keep but couldn't bear to lose through the foster system. A couple who seemed kind, who promised to love her daughter, who swore they'd tell Sarah the truth when she was old enough. "He gave them everything," Maria whispered, tears streaming down her face. "Letters for every birthday, photos of myself at your age, so you'd know where you came from. Instructions about your medical history. I gave them my heart and trusted them to keep it safe until you were ready." They never said a word. Sarah's voice was hollow. There were no letters, no photos, nothing. Maria closed her eyes, and Sarah watched 23 years of hope collapse in the slump of her biological mother's shoulders. The weeks that followed were complicated. Sarah learned she had 2 half-siblings, Miguel, 19, and little Elena, just 7. They welcomed her with an easiness that made her chest ache, as if finding a long-lost sister was the most natural thing in the world. She learned that Maria had worked 3 jobs to put herself through nursing school, that she'd never married Miguel and Elena's father, who'd left when Elena was born, that every year on Sarah's birthday, Maria lit a candle and made a wish. "I wish that you were happy," Maria told her one evening as they walked along the beach. "That's all I ever wanted, even if it meant you never found me." Sarah watched the waves crash against the shore, each one eroding a little more of her anger, revealing something raw and painful underneath. "I don't know how to do this," she admitted. "I don't know how to have 2 mothers. I don't know who I'm supposed to be anymore." Maria stopped walking and turned to face her. "You're Sarah. You're the daughter I gave birth to and the daughter they raised. You're both. You're allowed to love them even while you're angry. You're allowed to want to know me while still considering them your parents. You don't have to choose." "They lied to me." "Yes, they did something unforgivable because they were afraid." Maria took Sarah's hands. "But I gave you to them, and I have to believe that somewhere in their terrible decision was love, fear of losing you, fear that you'd love me more, fear that makes people do foolish, selfish things." Klina. It took 6 months before Sarah returned home. She called first, which felt both necessary and absurd. Her father answered. "Sweetheart." His voice broke on the word, and Sarah had to steady herself against the wall. "I need to know why," she said. "I need to understand." They talked for hours. Her mother got on the line. They cried. They explained. They'd been so afraid. Afraid that she'd feel less theirs. Afraid that she'd leave. Afraid that telling her would break the perfect family they'd built. "We wanted you so badly," her mother sobbed. "For 8 years we tried. 8 years of treatments and heartbreak and hoping. And then there you were. This perfect, beautiful baby. And we wanted to pretend you'd always been ours, that you came from us." "But I didn't," Sarah said quietly, "and pretending doesn't change that." "I know. Gott, Sarah, I know. We were selfish, we were wrong. But we loved you so much that we couldn't bear to share you, even with the truth. Ende. A year later, Sarah stood in Maria's kitchen again, teaching Elena how to make the chocolate chip cookies her mom. Her adoptive mom, Carol, had taught her to bake when she was Elena's age. Through the window, she could see Miguel and her dad discussing something animated, probably sports. Her two mothers sat on the porch, conversation flowing easier now, bonded by their shared love of the same impossible, wonderful girl. It wasn't perfect. There were still moments of anger, flashes of betrayal that cut deep. There were awkward family dinners and hurt feelings and complicated holidays. But there was also this: two families learning to become one. A biological mother who'd never stopped loving her. Adoptive parents learning to be share. Siblings who texted her daily. A truth that, while painful, had set them all free. Sarah pulled the cookies from the oven and smiled. Her family had been built on lies, yes, but love, messy, complicated, fierce, and true, was rebuilding it into something stronger. Something real.